العلم أشراف مطلوب وطالبه لله أكرام من يمشي على قدمه. العلم نور مبين يستضيء به أهل السعادات والجهال في الظلم.
A threshold, a standard, a minimum amount. If a person has that amount, the fourth condition that we have to also look at is how long they've had that mal. مثلا الآن Muharram, the first month of the Islamic calendar, the Hijri calendar. Also, when we're talking about Zakah, we have to use the Hijri calendar, not the Miladi, the Hijri calendar. طيب. So, مثلا, a person gains 40 sheep on Muharram the first day of the year. And then comes Muharram the following year. They have, مثلا, 40, or they have 42, or 43, or whatever amount. Muharram 1440, they had how much? 40. 1441, they had how much? 40 or 41, whatever it may be. Like in above 40. So because they've maintained that wealth of 40 sheep for the whole year, zakah becomes wajib upon them. So they have to pay the zakah from that 40 or 50 or whatever sheep it may be, because they've owned it for a year. طيب. مثلا, how about if Muharram, they got hold of 40 sheep. Come Ramadan, it decreased to 30. Ramadan decreased to 30. When Muharram came around, they end up with less than 40. They end up with less than 40. So, مثلا, they have 30 or 32, whatever it may be. Like, it's less than 40. Do they have to pay zakah on what they have now? A year has passed. لا, it decreased in Ramadan to 30. It is less than the nisab. Ahsantum. طيب. So there's no what? No zakah wajib upon it. طيب. Muharram, he was given 50 sheep. Father passed away, قدر الله ما شاء فعل. Left behind 50 sheep. طيب. In Ramadan, he got rid of 20. How much is that? طيب. In Ramadan, he got rid of 20. And then, before Muharram, and in the Hijjah also, or anywhere before Muharram, a few months between them, someone's given him 40. Someone's given him 40 sheep. 40 or 30? 70. So now, when the year has passed, as soon as he gets to that same time, next year, he has 70. Is there zakah wajib upon this 70? No, why?
He's only on 30.
Huh?
He's only on 30 of them for a year.
La, the year's gone past now, here in 70.
But during that year, he never maintained it.
Ahsant. He never maintained the nisab. He never maintained the nisab for that whole year. So if a person doesn't maintain the nisab for the whole year, the minute it drops from the nisab, the minute that it drops from the nisab, then the year starts again. So مثلا Ramadan, it went down to 30. Like in Dhul Hijjah, which is the month before Muharram, Dhul Hijjah, he was given how many? 70. The nisab starts from Dhul Hijjah. And then he has to go back to, he has to wait till next year, Dhul Hijjah, the same day, and then pay the zakah for that amount. Is that understood? Right. So, the more we go on, the more we will sink in. Lakin, that is the second or the fourth condition that the Shaykh rahmatullahi alayhi mentioned, which is that it has to reach the nisab, and if it decreases from the nisab during any time of the year, then the nisab starts from min jadid, it starts again. طيب. Is that understood? So that is the asl. That is the asl, that every single wealth has to go through or has to be owned for a minimum of 1 year before zakah can be made, or before zakah becomes wajib. طيب. لكن الشيخ says rahmatullahi alayhi, إلا الخارج من الأرض, except for that which comes out from the earth. وما كان تابعا للأصل كالنماء النصاب. So now the Shaykh has given us a قاعدة, صح? He says لا زكاة في مال حتى يحول عليه الحول. So write that as a principle. قاعدة وضابط لا زكاة في مال حتى يحول عليه الحول. Any مال, ذهب, فضة, بر, شعير, merchandise, عروض التجارة, إبل, غنم, أي شيء. Unless a year goes past, there is no zakat wajib upon it. طيب. Before we move on to this masala, the sister asked about paying in advance, صح? Paying zakat in advance. Can you pay zakat in advance? Naam, you can pay zakat in advance for a maximum of 2 years. Maximum of 2 years. Abbas radiallahu anhu, the uncle of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, paid zakat 2 years in advance. طيب. So the person pays 2 years, he is allowed to pay 2 years in advance. طيب. Lakin, however, if a person pays a certain amount, he gives a certain amount as a taqdeem, ta'jeel, he gives, مثلا, the zakat for next year and the year after, he pays it now. Or this year's zakat and next year's zakat, he pays it now. Lakin his wealth increases. So, مثلا, الآن, he calculated that he had, مثلا, £2,000. طيب. And then after calculating, مثلا, it becomes wajib, he has to pay £25 of zakat, مثلا. Lakin when next year comes, at the end of the year and the beginning of next year and during next year, his mal increases. His mal increases. Which means what? The amount that he has paid isn't enough. He has to pay what? More. مثلا, if a person owns 10,000, the zakah that he pays is obviously not the same as the zakah he would pay if he owns what? 2,000 مثلا. So if he realizes that by the end of the year or by the end of next year, he's got more money, and meaning that he has to pay more zakah, then he has to increase onto whatever it was that he paid. مثلا, by the end of the 2 years, he has gained a significant amount of wealth, which means he has to pay, for example, £200. Like, he only paid how much? £25. He has to add how much? 175. So he's allowed to do taqdeem. Lakin he nah. How about delaying the zakah? What's the ruling on delaying the zakah? It has to be a good reason, صح? MashaAllah. طيب. Anyone else? There has to be a maslaha, as the sister said. Huh? There has to be a maslaha. So if, مثلا, if 25th of Muharram, Zakah becomes wajib upon you. You have to pay it immediately. You have to pay it immediately. Lakin if you delay the Zakah, or you can delay the Zakah if there's a maslaha. مثلا, for example, if there are fuqara, lakin you know that there are other people who are more in need, or in need of wealth more than the people that are around you now, or more than the people that you have in your location, then you can wait for that person to come back, or that person to reach you. Also, مثلا, for example, if there's a family and they're fuqara, and you would normally give the zakat to the husband or the father or the man of the house, like you know this individual, if you give him zakat, he's going to use it to satisfy his habits, on drugs and so on, wal-'iyadhu billah. And what happens then? The family is still in need. So the hajj hasn't been lifted from them. So for that sort of individual as well, you can give the family in parts. On a monthly basis, you can provide for that family, or you can give the wealth to that family on a monthly basis. Or you can buy the food for them and give it to them in for the duration of the year. طيب. So the Shaykh said the qa'idah, which was لا زكاة في مال حتى يحول عليه الحول, صح? That is the general principle. طيب. The Shaykh is now gonna mention some exemptions in certain types of wealth that you do not have or there isn't a condition for the movement of the year or the passing of a year. As soon as you get it, you pay it. The Shaykh says إلا الخارج من الأرض. So ضع واحد, or put one. إلا الخارج من الأرض. So the first one, the خارج من الأرض. Everything that comes out of the earth. For example, من الحبوب والثمار, from seeds and fruits and so on. And the evidence for that is وآتوا حقه يوم حصاده. وآتوا حقه يوم حصاده. And give its right, or pay its right, its due, on the day that you have that you harvest, on the day of its harvest, to pay it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم. O you who believe, وما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض. O you who believe, pay that which you have worked for, or that which you have been given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that which we give to you from the earth. So the obligation of وَآتُوا حَقَّهُ يَوْمَ حَصَادِهِ is that you have to pay it on the day that is harvested. Because we know that for anyone that works in a farm, or that has worked in a farm, or knows of farms, these seeds, it's seasonal. Fruits, these plants, these seeds that are put for the plantation, they are seasonal. So if we say we're going to give it a year, by the time the year has come round, there's nothing there. It can be dry land, barren land. That's why al-kharij min al-ard, there's no zakat in it. Afwan, there's no time limit. There's no ishtirad al-hawl. You don't have to, there's no condition of it having to pass 1 year. As soon as it becomes ripe, as soon as it's ready to be picked, then you must pick it and pay the zakah upon it. So that's the first type of zakah. طبعا الخارج من الأرض, it differs from al-ibil مثلا. Camels all year round, it's not seasonal, all year round you find them. Cattle, كذلك. Ghanam, sheep, likewise. The wealth that we can have, مثلا pounds and gold and silver, so on, it doesn't depend on the season and the time of year. So that's the first one. وَمَا كَانَ تَابِعًا لِلْأَصْلِ كَالنَّمَاءِ النِّصَابِ. And whatever follows on from the nisab. Whatever follows on from the nisab. مثلا الآن, well, different examples. You can use different examples. مثلا if a person has this example of Muharram, if a person has مثلا 6 camels, the threshold for camels, Zakah on Ibil, is 5. So if a person has 5 camels, they have to pay 1 sheep. So the threshold, where we said sheep was how many? 40. Camels is what? 5. So if a person has 5, that is 6 by the way. So if a person has 5, they have to pay 1 sheep. So Muharram, the first of Muharram, the first day of the month, the first day of the year, a person has 6 camels. Is zakah wajib upon him if it stays the same? So it's wajib upon him if it stays the same until Muharram the following year. طيب. How much is wajib upon him? How much zakah does he have to pay? 2.5 in the dhahab will fit than that. But like with camels, cattle and ghanam, as we shall see, there's a certain amount. 1 sheep. 5 camels, 1 sheep. طيب. 10 camels, 2. 15, 24. And then it goes up to camels. You have to pay out camels. طيب. So on the 6th of Muharram, or on the 1st of Muharram, he has 6 camels. طيب. So at this particular moment, this individual has reached the threshold. He has reached the nisab. صح? طيب. Ramadan, which is like what, the 8th month of the year, or the 9th, a person is given, مثلا, 4 camels. He is given 4 camels. 6 at 4? 10. If a person has 10 in general, what does he have to pay? Sheep. How many? 2. طيب. Like he started off his nisab with what? 6. صح? If he ends the year with 6, how many does he have to pay? 1 sheep, صح? طيب. Like in Ramadan, 1440, he's got how much? 10. طيب. The year ends and he's still got 10. The year ends and he's still got 10. How much does he have to pay in zakah? Whoever says 1, put your hand up. 1, 2, 3, 4. طيب. 4. Don't be scared. يعني. نعم ولا لا. 4. طيب. Who says, what was the other opinion? You said what? 2. And who says 2? Everyone else is supposed. طيب. Why 2?
Because he didn't reset. He still began the year with the sub.
He began with what? 6?
6, yeah. So he's up on top of the sub. He reached the
He maintained the nisab.
He maintained the nisab. طيب, if he maintained the nisab, there's only 1 then. He only has to pay 1.
I think he ended. I'm just guessing.
No, guess.
So he ended the year with 10.
Okay.
So
So because of that, he has to pay 2. طيب, Jade, excellent.
The wealth that he owned for 1 year was 6. He didn't own the 4 other camels for a year. So only the zakah is on the 6.
طيب.
It's not 4.
طيب. He has to pay how much first? 4 or... He has to pay how much? 2 or 1?
I was going to say 2 because
2. Why is that? At the end of the year, okay. The sisters, which one do you agree with? Those that say 1 or 2? 1. So the majority of the sisters say 1, and the majority of the brothers says 2. Probably the very first time in the history of Al-I'tisam that the brothers are correct. Now, he has to pay 2. He has to pay 2. Like for those of you that said 1, it shows you've understood the lesson. It shows you've understood the principle, Jazakumullah khairan. Because that is what he started off with. The nisab, threshold, was what? The nisab for ibil is what? Camels. Is 5. And this individual has 6. At the beginning of the year, the nisab was, or he has reached the nisab, rather he's more than the nisab, which is 6. Like in 5 to 9, 1 sheep. Alright? 10 to what? 14 is 2 sheep, صح? طيب. Like when the year comes around, he has to pay on, as what the brother said, the wealth that he has got at the moment. The wealth that he has got at this particular moment. So he's not going to look back at the nisab. What did I have Muharram the year before? Like he's going to look at what he has now. The question that you may ask is, yeah, but hold on. This 4, he didn't have it at the beginning of the year. Sah? This 4, he did not have it at the beginning of the year. But that's where our principle comes in now, where the Shaykh says, illa, except for. This is an exemption. This is an exemption from the qa'idah, from the principle. Now every qa'idah, almost every single qa'idah or principle that you will come through, has exemptions.